Right now, on the National Weather Desk, we are tracking a massive winter storm and its potential to bring significant snow and treacherous ice across dozens of states. Preparations for potential power outages are already underway.
All of our staff, all of our line workers, all of our crews are primed and ready for this weekend and whatever Mother Nature might throw at it.
In some places, it will feel like 20 degrees or more below zero. How will you stay warm?
Hypothermia can develop in as little as 45 minutes in -5 degrees.
And how different types of snow impact accumulation totals.
As the temperature of the air is going to start to decrease, that ratio is going to get higher.
And see the unique technology in Maine keeping drivers safe during inclement weather.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. All eyes remain focused on a massive winter storm set to strike this weekend. It's expected to bring snow and ice from the southern plains all the way to the east coast. But first, it's snowing right now in Detroit, Michigan, and other areas around the Great Lakes. This blast of snow is expected to drop anywhere from a few inches to more than a foot from the northern plains to New England through tomorrow. That's when the jet stream will plunge, bringing Arctic cold and wind chills plummeting to 20 below or colder. Northern Minnesota could feel like 55 degrees below zero tonight. And that cold air will meet up with an upper-level disturbance coming in from the west, supplying the ingredients to produce that major winter storm we mentioned. It starts Friday night around Oklahoma and Kansas, spreading east on Saturday and Sunday. As many as 30 states will be impacted by significant ice and snow. Sleet and freezing rain will quickly turn to dangerous ice from Texas to the Carolinas. And heavy snow will fall from the southern Rockies through the mid-Atlantic. While confidence is high this storm will occur, exact details on track timing and precipitation amounts are still very much in flux. And the ice threatens to knock out power to millions of people across the South. And that's why power companies are getting ready now. Vinny Martorano shows us how newly installed technology could help an energy company in Austin, Texas.
Well, it's all hands on deck.
All eyes are on Austin Energy as potential winter weather is in the forecast this weekend.
Everybody's talking about a blast of cold air. How are you feeling?
Our teams are ready. We staff up.
The forecast is calling for possible freezing rain, which during previous storms caused major power outages when the ice stuck to power lines and tree limbs. The last major freeze was back in 2023, and Austin Energy is preparing for that kind of storm again.
All of our staff, all of our line workers, all of our crews are primed and ready for this weekend and whatever Mother Nature might throw at us.
Matt Mitchell with Austin Energy says all crews will be on standby, and they've been trimming branches across the city, making sure to address the higher risk areas.
We certainly don't want to see a repeat of 2021 or 2023, and we're doing everything we can as an organization to make sure that we're fully prepared.
Late last year, Austin Energy rolled out its electric system resiliency plan, which aims to reduce how long outages last through improvements to the company's infrastructure. Crews have been hardening power lines, putting in new poles and equipment, and upgrading transmissions and transformers. Mitchell says this will be the first big test for the improvements they've recently installed.
The point of that is to make sure that the outages, if they do happen, are as short as possible. You know, these are sub-freezing temperatures, that is the forecast, so, you know, every minute counts.
And as we continue our coverage of this weekend's potentially massive winter storm, meteorologist Emma Kate Cohen explains how ice accumulations can quickly turn treacherous.
Just 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulated in an area is going to make for a glaze on some surfaces, especially on those elevated roadways. Bridges always going to ice first, so that would be what we would be worried about in that instance. But then we just double it up to 2/10 of an inch of ice accumulated on regions. That's where we would likely start to see isolated power outages, the ice weighing down on those power lines, taking it out for some people, hazardous roadways for many, bump it up to 1/3 of an inch or just over 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, that's where we start to see very dangerous roadway conditions across the entire region that's impacted, as well as at that point it's heavy enough, the ice is, to take down a couple tree limbs out there on top of the already falling power lines. Finally, you see instances of up to 1/2 an inch of ice accumulating in one area or more. That is just going to be extreme widespread damage to both the power lines in the area. The roadways are just going to be impossible to travel on. And then at that point, heavy enough, that ice, that it could potentially even start knocking down trees. And that is why, with the possibility of impacting both travel and power outages, Freezing rain, sleet, any icy condition is going to be much more impactful than a typical snow chance here in our region.
And the storm will bring a wide range of precipitation types. The south is mainly expecting ice. Farther north, very cold temperatures will help deliver fluffy snow. And in the middle could be some wet snow. Meteorologist Noah Hawk explains how those factors impact snow totals.
Have you ever heard of the term wet snow? Or have you ever wondered how we get potential snow totals? Well, these things are going to come down to something known as the snow to liquid ratio, and or SLR for short. And this is going to be a prediction of what about 1 inch of water will equate to when it comes to snow. And you'll start to notice though, as the temperature of the air is going to start to decrease, that ratio is going to get higher. But why is that? Well, let's take a very cold day, for example, that last one showing right around 18 degrees. When the atmosphere is a lot colder than just 32, right at that freezing mark, the snowflakes tend to be smaller, so they require less water in order to make them. So that means the atmosphere has more water available to then make other snowflakes, allowing that ratio to be much higher. But that snow tends to be a lot more fine. But let's say that the temperature is right about freezing, right at 32. The snowflakes tend to be a lot larger, so that means they're going to require more water in order to make it that snowflake, which means the atmosphere is going to have less water to give around to make more snowflakes, therefore meaning the ratio is going to be lower. And pro tip, if you're ever wanting to be in a snowball fight, you're definitely going to want to have more of the lower ratios because that allows those snowflakes to be a lot bigger. And if it's close to right around freezing, it could allow for more of that wet snow, which comes from some of the ice crystals within the snowflake melting, allowing that snow to be a lot more easy to compact into those snowballs.
And we all know the importance of hats, gloves, and scarves to keep us warm in the cold. But as Maxine Rose shows us, there's other things you can do to weather the cold.
I think that the cold is painful and annoying.
Yeah, the truth hurts. You might already know that at 0 degrees or below, it takes about 30 minutes for exposed skin to get frostbite. Or that hypothermia can develop in as little as 45 minutes in -5 degrees. But did you know that, like the summer, the cold can, within minutes, stimulate your kidneys, causing dehydration?
Oh, that's concerning. But no, I'm actually walking to go get water right now, so.
Cold actually causes a diuresis, which means it makes you more likely to lose water. It stimulates the kidneys to lose water. Drink something that has some electrolytes, whether it's Gatorade or, a juice, anything with a little calories, a little sugar, some electrolytes. That's why we drink hot cocoa, right? It's got a little sugar, plus it's warm and tastes great.
Okay, so tell me this. What part of your body feels the cold first?
I'd say my nose, my lips, my fingers, and my toes are just the first things I really feel.
When you're out in the cold, probably the first thing you feel, especially if you're not dressed properly, is, your risk for frostbite. Obviously the things that are your fingers and your toes more commonly, or any exposed parts on your body, are going to start to feel cold. And when they start to burn, that's kind of the indication, burn or tingle, that they're really getting past just cold.
And then also if you have any joint stuff, sometimes if you spend a lot of time in the cold, your body can feel it pretty aggressively the next day.
What helps more, breathing through your mouth or through your nose?
The nose warms the air as you inhale it, as opposed to breathing through your mouth.
I definitely have heard that.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll try that.
Feel prepared for temps in the single digits now?
I'm a little bracing for it.
Now check this out. This pod of American white pelicans was spotted just north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Most of the birds usually just stop here on their way south to the Gulf Coast, but now many are wintering in the state, where they find abundant food in the Arkansas River, as well as some local lakes. And for the latest on this pending winter storm, be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll help you better understand snow squalls and blizzards, plus tips on how to safely use generators in winter weather.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. It's another chilly day in the Northeast with most towns topping out in the 20s and low 30s. It's certainly a cold start to the day. We're in the single numbers and teens early on. Notice clouds increasing by afternoon. That's about 3 o'clock. We're seeing snow first in New York, getting down through Pennsylvania during the afternoon hours and getting into New England during the early nighttime hours. Any leftover snow should be gone on Thursday, and Thursday's probably one of the warmer days of the next several. We should be in the 30s to near 40.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Looking dry as we move through your Wednesday and Thursday, except for the mountains. Some light snow or rain showers may move ahead of a front. This front is going to eventually bring some much colder temperatures, but we get a little bit of a recovery before then. Highs still reaching mostly the 40s as we move into Wednesday. So that colder air will start to push into the west, but many regions could still be even milder. Upper 40s, close to 50s down south, 30s in the mountains.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. Still on the chilly side for parts of the southeast heading into Wednesday afternoon with temperatures in the 40s and 50s across the Carolinas, into the 50s for northern Georgia and Alabama, and the 60s for the northern Gulf Coast. Mild conditions for most of central and south Florida in the mid-70s. We'll see the chance for showers and thunderstorms return for the Mississippi River Valley heading into Wednesday, eventually spreading into the Carolinas late on Thursday. Coastal showers possible across South Florida through Thursday afternoon.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Cold is the key word for this week. Temperatures plunging enough to stop 2 different waterfalls in their tracks outside Green Bay on Tuesday. And ice crystals in the atmosphere refracting sunlight made these sundogs possible in Wisconsin and in Michigan. Now to additional views of this week's stunning northern lights.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Well, driving in a snowstorm can be difficult enough. When you add blowing wind and heavily reduced visibility to the mix, conditions can become downright dangerous. Some parts of the country can experience blizzards and snow squalls. Montana meteorologist Mitchell Coombs explains the differences between these two types of winter storms.
Blizzards and snow squalls. What criteria makes these two winter storms different? Starting off with blizzards. They're defined by the National Weather Service when there is blowing and/or falling snow with winds of at least 35 miles per hour, reducing visibility for at least 3 hours. We can still see blizzard conditions even if it is not snowing outside, but the wind is continuing to blow the snow around, reducing visibility. This is known as a ground blizzard. Snow squalls, on the other hand, are fast-moving, narrow lines of heavy snow and strong wind. From clear conditions to a sudden onset of intense wind and snow, you could even experience whiteout conditions with rapidly deteriorating road conditions. There's often a flash freeze component with snow squalls on impacted roads. They are typically short-duration events lasting about 30 to 60 minutes. The first known use of the term snow squall was back in 1775. However, it was not until 2018 that the National Weather Service designated the use of a snow squall warning to address these short-term, life-threatening conditions. These are more akin to a tornado or severe thunderstorm warning. Whether you are under a blizzard warning or a snow squall warning, both are dangerous to travel in as they could lead to high-speed accidents and large pileups. Travel is highly discouraged during both of these winter storms, so stay off the roads if a warning has been issued. If you were already driving when the warning is issued, put on your hazard lights and find a spot to pull off the road. Keep in mind, it takes much longer to stop a vehicle on snowy and icy roads. You may be driving toward a pileup and can't stop in time. Use this example. A car traveling at 40 miles per hour will stop on a dry road in about 80 feet. More than double that distance for a snowy road and increase it by nearly 5 times the distance for snow and ice.
In Maine, a unique technology is being used to help keep drivers safe while driving in inclement weather. Meteorologist Ryan Munn has that story.
The Maine Turnpike Authority has 4 underground weather sensors that have been installed, with one that was just recently put in this week.
We'll go to the site, close the lane off, drill a hole in the ground, and we'll simply slip the sensor down in it, epoxy it in place, and then activate the sensor so it'll start transmitting data.
Here's a look at the ground cast sensor, and once it's installed, it'll feed back very important information.
I use the information to kind of see what's going on as far as the road conditions in the particular spots we have sensors. And then I'll usually go on the road and actually physically check it myself to see if it's expanded into other areas beyond there as well.
These sensors measure temperatures at 3 different levels. At the bottom, about 4 inches below the surface, and at the surface itself. Back at the Kennebunk facility is where they see all of the incoming data, which helps them determine how and where to deploy their plows and salt.
We take monthly inventory levels of our salt and usage, and also what we have left in stock so we can replenish if we need to. And again, we use our weather system to tell us how much to apply on the road for different conditions.
MTA project manager Brian Taddeo says they have about 2,000 tons of salt in stock at the facility, along with 78 plow trucks. But even with all of this data and all these resources, there's one safety measure that tops them all.
The most important thing we got to remember is during inclement weather, please slow down so to keep yourself safe and keep others around you safe.
And when it comes to staying safe and warm in your home during winter weather events, a generator can play a crucial role. Betty Cross is in Austin, Texas with more.
Portable power stations can be a safer way to weather the next winter emergency. The February freezes in 2021 and 23 caused blackouts that left thousands of people in the dark for days.
Most people with this type of weather, they play catch up. They don't have one, and then it's an emergency for them.
Aaron McCoy is the sales manager at McCoy Lawn Equipment. He had a gas-powered generator during both Austin ice storms.
The smaller ones like this, I was able to run my internet off of it, lights, a plug-in heater, my entire home entertainment system.
To safely use a gas generator, only run it outside, at least 20 feet from doors and windows. That's because the generators emit exhaust that can turn deadly when it builds up in enclosed spaces.
And it will kill you and it will kill your family if you have it inside the house when you're running it. So it's extremely important to have it outside and run the cords to the inside of the house.
McCoy also says never plug your generator into an outlet at your house.
So you take your generator and you run extension cords from it to your pieces of equipment. It does not plug into the wall socket in any way, shape, or form.
And have you ever heard of deformation zones? From our Charleston, West Virginia station, meteorologists Brandon Stover and Dante Ricky explain what they are and why they're very difficult to forecast.
Sometimes our heaviest snows are difficult to forecast because it requires unique conditions in the atmosphere where the air stretches, and that often can lead to a deformation zone.
Yeah, oftentimes you'll see this on the northwest side of a low pressure system, and it's essentially where air is kind of just being squeezed together, and that forces the air up. You know, it kind of forces the air up, and as air rises, it cools, it moistens, and that could produce widespread heavy snow.
And you often have to have a strong contrast in temperature and moisture content. And often lake effect snows can be within these regions because you have very warm lake water and very cold air due to the direction of the wind blowing off of those lakes and into a corner of low pressure. And one December morning, that just so happened right here in West Virginia. In theory, 35-degree lake water with a wind blowing across the lake and then onto land. It doesn't have to be that strong. In fact, it can't be too strong because that will actually mix it up too much and you won't get the heavy snow. But if it's just slow enough, that allows for condensation and perfect conditions for snow showers to grow. And sometimes they can be intense with multiple inches of snow. Here's the real key points. That deformation zone requires a real sharp horizontal gradient in temperature and moisture, and often happens in the northwest corner of those low pressure systems. They're relatively skinny and they have very key differences in distribution.
Yeah, and they're very difficult to forecast because they're so mesoscale or so small in nature, but where they do set up, they could persist for hours until that wind shifts. you can have hours worth of heavy snowfall, and that can lead to extreme differences. One given spot could see several inches. You go 5 miles north, you go 5 miles south, and there's hardly anything on the ground. So it's a huge challenge for forecasters.
Time now for a short break, but first we take in some views over Raleigh, North Carolina.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Some snow showers drifting their way down across the upper Midwest as we go through the day today. Got a little bit of rain-snow mix across the lower Ohio Valley today. And then tomorrow, a couple light snow showers, but a little bit lighter for most of us. Still kind of cold, only getting into the 40s there in Wichita tomorrow. Snow starts to develop as we head into your Friday, and we're looking at the potential for a pretty significant winter storm across the south heading into the weekend.
Well, good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Succi. Looking at a forecast across the region. Let's jump ahead. Late Friday into Saturday night. Winter storm watch already in effect. Oklahoma, a little bit of Arkansas, North Texas into Louisiana. So that again is with the Arctic blast coming in, some winter weather just in time for the weekend. Your day today will have some rain chances, eastern portions of the region. Sunshine, not bad on the temperatures. And then Thursday, a mix of clouds and sun, and it is on the mild side.
Well, hi there and a good Wednesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, our dry streak goes on, for better or for worse. For worse in terms of snowpack, which is MIA in parts of the Rockies and back into the Cascades as well. Instead, freezing fog and poor air quality, big issues here in California and in the PNW. Air stagnation advisory still in place for eastern Oregon. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Winter is firmly in place, and if you live where it gets icy cold, meteorologist Julia Haley explains something you should remember, especially when the road appears wet.
Bridges freeze first, meaning they lose heat faster than regular roads. Most roads are insulated by the ground underneath, while bridges are exposed to cold air above and also below the road's surface. That exposure allows heat to escape quickly, letting bridge decks reach freezing temperatures before nearby roads do. So, a road can look wet while a bridge just ahead is already icy. To stay safe, slow down on bridges and overpasses, increase following distance, and avoid sudden braking or sharp turns. If you encounter ice, don't slam the brakes. Brake gently. Pulse if you don't have an anti-lock braking system, and use steady pressure if you do. Even when conditions seem fine, bridges can be the first place ice forms and the hardest to spot.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Make it a great day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for the National Weather Desk.